to White, over to Caruso for the lead! Time here, turn up the 18! Woo!
Hello and welcome back to See Red UK, where quite simply is Chicago Bulls thing. This podcast is part of the Fans First Sports Network, so wherever you're listening, rate, review, subscribe, helps us out and ensures you don't miss another episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, do the same, hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up and leave some comments down below. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
Not great at all. It's hard to feel anything but upset after watching that absolutely horrific show against the Washington Wizards last night. You know, Washington Wizards, you know them, don't you? They're the joke of the NBA, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the worst team in the league.
Worst team in the league, and very much made us look like the worst team in the league last night. Started off with a 15-0 start to the game, and that wasn't 15 to the Bulls, that was 15 to the Wizards. Shocking stuff. How about you?
Yeah, well, as my little thing says there, I'm broken, if I've spelled it right. I can't even see. Because anybody who's watching on YouTube will notice that I'm not in my truck. I am actually at home because I'm off work this week. So, not my usual surroundings, but anyway. So I've had to kick the missus out to record this as well. So I'm not in the good books, but I never am, to be fair.
It's just you can normally hide away from it in your truck.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, obviously last week's recording, we spoke about how we thought this Bulls team could get to 500 and above. You know, at that time of recording, we were one game behind, which was against the Rockets, which we both predicted it'd be a Bulls win. I was a little hesitant, I think, with it because it's Bulls and we don't play that sort of team very well. And obviously we lost that one. Then at the weekend, we faced Celtics, which, again, I think we both had down as a loss.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, scoreline-wise, it wasn't as bad as could be expected, but then everyone's saying it was a half a Celtics team because there was no Jaylen Brown, no Drew Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis. So they were saying it's a depleted Boston team. Well, this is a depleted Bulls team, as we keep saying. You know, so at the end of the day, they've took Jaylen Brown out. We've got no Zach. We've got no Lonzo. We've got no P. Will. So to me, all right, yeah, it wasn't the strongest Celtics team, but it wasn't exactly a weak team. Still had Jason Tatum. Still had Derek White. Still had Al Horford that even though 37 or whatever age he is, he can still shoot a three, unlike Bulls as a whole. And then, as you say, last night, that I don't even know what to call that. I mean, they did say it was the worst performance of the season, and that's with them two losses to Pistons as well. And that was a depleted Wizards team. That was a Wizards G League team. I think even some of the G League players that they have been using were out injured. That guy that Vooch got into with, I don't even know his name, the big centre guy that he called too small.
Yes.
Abayi or something, is it?
I will put it up here.
You know, even he was missing. So that, you know, what we have to what they had should have been too much. But as usual, Bulls play down to their opposition and come away with, what did we lose by in the end? Was it 2 points? Can't remember now.
2 points in the for a finish. 107-105 was the score.
Yeah, and like you said, 15-0 run. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You can't. I mean, it was a bad first quarter against Rockets as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
We conceded like 40 odd points in that. And this Bulls team just
42,
seems to have flipped from third quarter collapses to giving themselves too much to do after the first. And yeah, obviously, last night's game broke me. That was me done. The last few episodes, we've tried to look at positives and be optimistic, and look, the things that we've highlighted to be positive, I think, are positive.
Yes.
As long as Bulls use them as a positive, that's maybe the new thing now. Because some of the things we're going to get into in a minute kind of take away from the fact that it was a positive, because Bulls don't use it as a positive. So yeah, I mean, before we dive too far into it, what, you know, where we're at the minute, what was your take on, well, the last week basically?
It's been a tough week as a Bulls fan, and you know, like you say, we were expecting to see maybe us break through that elusive 500 point, and instead we found ourselves creating more of a gap to have to try and get through. I mean, to not even take one of the three of those games, and the fashion in which those two lesser games, shall we say, although the Rockets are on a massive run at the minute, but to have dropped those two games in the fashion that we did was just not good enough. The Celtics game, okay, we lost to that to essentially the best team in the league at the moment, but they were depleted and we are depleted. But we gave them a good run all the way through. We looked like a team. We looked like we cared. We looked like we were trying, and we gave them, you know, a bit of a game. But to just roll over is what it felt like we did, really, against the Wizards and the Rockets. When you're at this stage of the season and you're trying to push to strengthen your position in the standings going into the playoff run or play-in run, it's just not good. It's simply just not good enough. It's not a good enough effort. And, you know, effort's something that we've talked about for a long, long time. And you might not have the players and you might not have the talent and you may have the injuries, but there is no excuse for lack of effort. And if anything, as Bulls fans, one thing we've always expected from a Bulls team is to put that effort in and fight, regardless of whether you're undermanned or not as good as the team you're playing against. Being the underdog has always suited this team. But I just feel like we're being let down at every step by this team at the moment, and that's from the top all the way through to the bottom with the players. And it's not good enough. We all need a lift. We need this week to be better than last week. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, when I put the game day pick out yesterday, obviously ahead of the Wizards one, I think it was Geordie that I messaged it saying, and it was, we've got 3 winnable games this week, which would have got us to 500, but we dropped the first one at Wizards. We've got Pacers tomorrow night.
Yeah,
you know, we've shown we can beat Pacers, and we beat them twice this season now.
Yes.
And then we've got Nets to round the week out, and well, for us, round March out, because the next game is technically the 1st of April for us. But we've dropped the first one. So at the minute, I've got no confidence at all that we beat Pacers tomorrow. I can't remember what I predicted last week. I think I predicted it to be an L anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I don't think we've got I've got confidence there that we're going to beat Nets. And we've already lost to them once, so I know they've changed players and got a different look to them, but they're picking up wins every so often. I think there's something like there's 7 games behind us in the standings now, so they're not, hopefully not going to catch us. I mean, there's only 10 games left, but that 9th seed that we all thought we'd secured, especially when Trae Young went down injured, that looks like it's slowly slipping away. And then we're going to end up the 10th seed, probably with a worse record than we had last season. And where's the progression there? Yeah, we've been riddled with injuries and stuff like that, but there's certain things, obviously, like I said, that we've tried to put a positive spin on it, and it's just not looking that positive at the minute. And there was an extra positive at the weekend. You'll see behind me the Javonte Green jerseys.
Right.
Was it Saturday we officially announced that we'd brought my guy Javonte back on his 10-day? All right, Celtics game, you kind of think to yourself, yeah, he's probably not going to get a lot in there. Not a lot of minutes. But why not? You know, he's played 10 G League games so far and putting up decent numbers, stuff like that. So he's fit. I mean, although he was sat there with some weird looking heating brace or something on his knee, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so kind of didn't expect to see him against Celtics, but we did expect to see him last night. And
Definitely.
what we needed last night is what Javonte would bring: energy, hustle,
Yep.
rebounding. You know, Javonte is not going to win you a game. You know, in the same way that someone like Dale and Terry's not going to win you a game, but they can change a game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. And Javonte could have changed that game last night. All it took was a breakaway highlight reel dunk that we see from him. And that's it. Momentum shifts. The UC is on the feet. The UC is buzzing.
Yeah.
But we didn't see him. And this is one of the, you know, we tried not to slate Billy last week when I said, has he been a positive or a negative? He's working with what he's got. But he's not.
Mm.
That's the frustrating thing with him. You know, you listen to whether it's Will Gottlieb on CHGO or I can't remember who else says it, but you know, they constantly say Billy only trusts 6, possibly 7 players on this team.
It's true.
How? Yeah, it is true, unfortunately. But how are we 10 games away from the end of the regular season and Billy only trusts 7 players at most on this roster? And I don't even think it's that. I don't think he trusts Drummond, because last night Drummond was a massive part of why we turned that game around in that second quarter. And then we don't see him.
Yeah.
And then when he does put him back in, he's gone cold. He can't quite get back into the game. Yet Vooch is still out there putting up 9 points for the whole game, following his 2 rebounds that he got against Celtics.
Yeah.
You know, was it Drummond got a double-double in some like 12 minutes last night?
Yeah. I mean, no question about it. We looked better when Drum was out on the floor. And we looked okay when they were both out on the floor. But when it was just Vooch out there, that's when we were at our worst through the whole game last night.
And that's not the first time we've said that about Vooch this year.
No.
But Billy persists with him. Yeah, all right, we signed into that deal, and it's pretty obvious he is your starting centre.
Yes.
But if it's not working, you know, in the press conference after it, Billy's saying we just couldn't get the ball to him. Well, change it then. You're the coach. You know, put somebody out there that doesn't necessarily have to get the ball to him. Javonte Green, who can take on whoever and get to the rim. You know, Dale and Terry. The last 2 games, the Rockets game and the Celtics game, he was one of our top 3 players that we've been doing on our Discord.
Yeah.
You know, if we'd have beat Celtics, he'd have got bull of the game in that game. That because of the way the people were voting for it. Yet last night he gets 11 minutes. And all right, his stats don't look fantastic from last night. You know, no points, no field goals attempted. I think it's like 1 rebound, 1 assist, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're putting him out there for 2 minutes, or not even 2 minutes, and then you're pulling him, how can he get any kind of momentum going? You know, and how do you go from playing him 20 minutes against Celtics, where he looks solid, you know, a lot of Bulls Nation was starting to rave about him, to then say, I don't trust him.
Yeah.
Because he makes 1 mistake or whatever it is. Same as OB. He'd been getting the minutes. Last night he gets 4 minutes because he makes 1 mistake. So you pull him.
Mm-hmm.
We've said time and time again, let these players play through them, especially your end of bench players, your fringe players, whatever you want to call them. because we've seen it with Javonte Carter. Again, last 2 games before last night, coach's decision DMP. Comes in and he wasn't fantastic, but he was hitting threes. He hit his little midi.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Javonte Carter that we thought we were getting in a roundabout sort of way. So what does Billy do? Take a seat.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he'd rather persist with people that aren't doing what they're out there to do. You know, Kobe, I mean, I can't remember what his shooting was last night, but was it 2 of 11 from 3? Something like that.
It was poor, yeah. I'll pull it up. You keep talking.
And, you know, Kobe's been fantastic all season, but since his injury, he's not really got back into it, I don't think. You know, and it's just, yeah, like I say, Javonte should have been getting at least 5 minutes last night in a game like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and if he's not fit enough to play, why did we bring him back? You know, why?
I do not know.
Because he's obviously there as a replacement for Julian Phillips. So
Yeah.
was this Julian Phillips now falling out of the rotation, even though he'd been putting up good? Do you know what I mean? So that them positives that we have been taking, where these players have stepped up and, you know, they've got themselves sort of there, they now seem to be right back down the bottom. And you know, especially for somebody like OB, for example, is he going to be back next year now?
It's hard to know, isn't it? Because it just seems to fluctuate. Where, and it's not just OB. It's there's been a few players where all of a sudden it looks like Billy has embraced them and he's given them minutes and he's liking what he's seeing. And then we could go through a barren spell with that player where they sit down and get no court time at all, or just barely get a couple of minutes. Like, and it's true for what you were saying about making a mistake and then, right, okay, you've made one mistake, now sit down. I mean, obviously, if a player is out there and they're playing poor and they're making mistake after mistake, you have to sit them, and that's fine. And that's exactly what you'd expect from your coach. You'd be angry the other way if they were being left on and they're playing terrible. But at the same time, if someone makes one mistake or a couple of mistakes in quite close proximity to each other, and you sit that person down, what you're instilling in the mind of that player, unless they're a very strong-willed player, is, well, you go out there, but if you make any mistakes, you're sitting down. So straight away, you're sending a player out there and he's overthinking. Straight away, they start to worry about, well, you know, if I make a mistake there or if I miss that shot there, then, and what they'll do is they'll start passing up opportunities instead of taking them. Or they won't drive because they'll be afraid of losing the ball or not getting the foul call. So the ball ends up getting overpassed, moved around the outside, and never gets any penetration, or the shot doesn't go up. And that's what's happening. And we've seen that happen. I mean, we even seen that in Kobe when he first came back. He was passing up shots and not taking them. And, you know, the one thing we've said about Kobe White is that even when he's not scoring well, because he can be a bit of a microwave scorer, even when he's not scoring well, he's still been affecting the game. And it was 2 of 11 from 3 last night, but he was also 6 of 20 and finished with 22 points. So it's not like he didn't affect the game some bit. As for assists, let me pull it up here now. He got 5 assists and 4 rebounds. So, you know, he was involved in the game. And that's what you want to see out of Kobe. But you don't want players kind of worrying and overthinking about, what if I miss? Because as soon as you put that into the head of a shooter, that shooter isn't any good to you anymore.
And it works the other way as well, with players like Vooch that haven't been performing, but still get the minutes. You know, you're saying, obviously, you've just said there that you get pulled after one mistake. That puts that in your head. Vooch is constantly making mistakes and still gets the minutes. So there's no accountability for the poor performances. And I mean, obviously, another kind of thing that I've noticed in the last few games is the frustration at not getting the foul calls. which
Yeah.
that's been there all season. But then you've got Demar getting ejected against Rockets. You know, I'm not saying if Demar was on the court at the end of the game, we'd have won, but we'd have had a better chance. You know, and it's not the first time we've seen Demar. Was it against Bucks the other week, where he got into it with Bobby Portis?
Yeah.
You know, we see Vooch getting a tech. You know, it's constantly see Vooch doing the challenge signal and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we used to say it was Zach, just play the game.
Yeah.
You know, and we even saw it a little bit with Caruso last night, where he got bumped by Jordan Poole, so he charges down the other end and picks up a flagrant by just running into him. We're not a superstar team. We're not going to get the benefit of the doubt with them sort of calls. You know, so it is frustrating, but these vets have got to stay on the court. They can't, you know, like, I mean, that Celtics game, there was 3 techs given out in that game. Obviously, one to Vooch for throwing the ball against the stanchion in frustration, which it's not the first time we've seen him do it. Yeah, it's a soft call. You know, he's not said anything to anybody. He's not thrown the ball at anybody. He's not, you know. So why is that a tech? You then see Jason Tatum get one for passing the ball to the ref a little bit aggressively, or a little bit too hard for his delicate hands. You know, soft. And then you get Dale and Terry getting the one for hanging on the rim, which he wasn't hanging on the rim. He was making it safe for himself to land. All right, he did fly through to grab the rim in the first place, and them sort of calls change momentum in games, because obviously,
absolutely,
you know, and so you can see where the frustration comes in. Yeah, I get that, and the frustration is there from not getting calls that should be called, and but as you know, we see it all the time with Demar. Demar's the first one to react, and it's usually somebody like Kobe or Ayo, you know, these younger players that are telling him to step away and calm down. But you just know he's not gonna, and you know he's gonna give away a tech, which, all right, some games it maybe doesn't matter, some games it's a momentum killer. And yeah, it's just, I mean, not trying to look too far ahead, but this off season there has to be something done now, because, like I say, we have tried to be positive, we've tried to be optimistic. There is still a chance that we get into the playoffs via the play-in, which, yeah, if you want to have another 4 games against Celtics, then I know it's all about the experience, but
it is, yeah.
What are they going to experience? That's the thing.
And I know it was possibly an anomaly and a fluke and a one-off and all that, but you never know unless you're in the playoffs or play-ins. You never know what can happen. Look at what Miami managed to pull off, and I'm not saying that we are that kind of team, or that we have a player that switches it on in the playoffs like they do. But what I am saying is it's all experience, and you just don't know how far you could maybe push the Celtics if you get that far, or even just taking 1 or 2 games where they get close, and even a game where it's a blowout, just so they can feel what that's like in a playoff, as opposed to just a regular season game. Because we all know that playoff games are played at a much slower pace than the regular season. It's a lot different feeling than it is in a regular season game, and there's a lot of these players on this team that won't have experienced that yet, and I'd rather them experience it kind of sooner in their careers rather than later.
Yeah, and obviously, sort of going back to the roster construction, yeah, obviously we've lost Zach. We don't know what's going to go on with Zach in the future. We knew we was without Lonzo. We don't know what's going to go on with Lonzo in the future. P. Will, we still don't know what's going on with P. Will. We don't know if he can. He can be a 4th pick, or if he's just going to be a rotation player. So when you got these people that say that Billy doesn't trust more than however many players, why are they on the roster?
Yeah.
You know, if Billy doesn't trust them and Billy doesn't want to play them, why are they still here?
I
You
agree with
know,
you. Because if he's not going to use them when we're struggling to the extent that we are with injuries and quality that we're putting out there, and he's still not playing them now, what's the point of them being there? He's not going to play them when we need to rest our players in the future with other games when we're actually playing okay. Because unless we've got a massive lead of 20, 30 points, I can't see him letting them get on the court anyway.
no, I mean, if
So what's
you
the
look
point of them
at,
being there?
yeah, I mean, you look at the roster at the minute. Obviously, take Javonte out of it because he's not really on the roster.
Yeah,
But you've got Dalen Terry, who year 2 now, and to me, he's shown massive improvements. Still needs to work on his shot. Still needs to work out creating his own shot and stuff like that. Does Billy trust him?
sometimes.
Who knows? You know, because like I say, Celtics, he gets 20 minutes. And 20 minutes for someone like Dalen is good going.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, I've got him up now. He, in that 20 minutes, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 5 of 8 from the field. You know,
Good game.
that, yeah, you kind of want him to see him get a few more rebounds possibly and a couple more assists. But I don't even know what position Dalen checks in a lot of the time. Is he a point guard? Is he a 3 or what? I just, you know, and the fact that we're in year 2 with someone like Dalen and we don't know what he is, we don't know what we've got. It's, you know, it's, yeah, you know, but how is Billy ever gonna trust him, and how is he ever gonna improve his shot and get the game to slow down for him if he doesn't play?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Javon Carter, two DMPs, looks good, gets sat. Does Billy trust him? To me, clearly not. And we've got him for another 2 years. You know, and this is somebody that we were kind of thinking could possibly have been our starting point guard.
I know.
You know, and people bang on about us being stacked in the guard room, but are we?
Well, not when they're not being played as guards.
Yeah. You know, you've got Zach not playing, Bonzo not playing. So there's 2 down. Caruso plays at the 4, so he's not in the part of the guard room.
Yeah.
Ayo and Kobe, all right, yeah, they're playing, but who's replacing them? Because Javon's not playing. Dalen's not playing point guard if that's what people see him as. Yeah, so
yeah, it's like you say. If you were to ask me what position Dalen Terry plays, I could tell you possibly what position I think he should play. But as for what position he plays for the Bulls, I genuinely couldn't tell you what his actual position is for the Chicago Bulls. I really couldn't.
No.
And I know that's kind of the way that the league is trending a little bit towards positionless basketball, apart from maybe the 5. But although not in Billy's mind, but you still kind of need to have a vague idea of where your players are going to play.
Because you need to know what your role is.
Right. And it's just not the way it seems to be going. And like, if we as fans and we're sitting there and we can't figure it out and we're watching it from a step back point of view, well, do the players know where they're playing? Do you know? Does Billy even know where they're playing? Because I'm not so sure he does sometimes.
No.
He just puts them out on the floor.
And we thought we kind of knew what Billy's rotations were at the minute.
No.
And he's just completely, you know, Torrey Craig. He's got in 1 minute, he's got him starting, then he's got him on the bench. And in the same game, he has him starting and then goes back to Caruso. And it's just like, yeah, because Torrey Craig is better off the bench. Some players are just better off the bench.
Yeah.
And I know that he is. I mean, is he actually a 4, Torrey Craig?
Yeah, I think he is listed as a 4.
He's a 3/4, isn't he?
Yeah.
Probably better as a 3, but Bull's been Bulls,
Yeah. Play him as a 4. Solid 4.
Yeah, and it's just, I just don't understand how we're at this point of the season and don't even know what we've got with
We're
a lot
still
of players.
figuring it out. Loads of time. We're still figuring it out.
I mean, at least we've been competitive in a few games.
Yeah. Not last night. Yeah, I suppose it was a clutch game. Certainly wasn't a competitive first quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think what other sort of positives that we've kind of said that are now, after a week, have not looking that positive. It's just, I mean, even the Zach stuff, that you can't even put a positive spin on that anymore because who's going to want him?
That's the question. Unless someone decides they want to take a punt on an overpriced guard who can score but can't win, I don't know.
I don't even see the Lonzo stuff as a positive because are we actually going to see him back? He comes back at Christmas, ramps up for a month, and then gets injured again, and then that's his contract.
That's the realistic concern. I think the way it's trending and the way it's being pushed, at least the way the picture is being painted, unless they're lying to us, which that never happens. But I think Lonzo does return. I think it's kind of the way it's trending. But the question is, are the Bulls going to look at him now as bring him back, let's see what he still is, and then integrate him back into the team? Or are they going to be like, well, let's bring him back, see what he is, and use him as a trade chip? Or is it going to be, let's bring him back, see how he's injured again? Because I mean, I think the most likely situation is that he's going to come back and get injured again, right? I mean, that's the way everyone's head's at, really. And the second most likely option is that he's going to come back and he's not going to be a shadow of the player that he used to be because he hasn't played in 3 years.
Yeah.
Do you know?
So then by the time he's ramped up, he's out of contract.
Stepping on the floor. Sorry, go on.
Then by the time he's ramped up, he's out of contract.
Well, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. So that's why I'm saying that the Bulls going to try and see what they have with him and then use him as a bargaining chip because they know full well that he's too high risk coming to the end of the season because they have to either renew his contract or let him walk. And quite simply, if you let him walk now after he's got better, for those of you listening and not watching, I did the whole like air quote thing. And then you're going to let him walk for free after pumping all this money into him and then getting better. And then he's going to just walk away into the distance to another team. That's going to cause a lot of rage in a lot of fans.
Yeah.
I mean, understandably so.
It's just a complete mess. The whole contract situation with DeMar, Zach, obviously Lonzo, Caruso, they've got to do something in this offseason. And like, I'm just at a point now where I just want the season to be done. I'm sick of what ifs and maybes and false hope, I think. And, because that seems to be the thing in the last few weeks. We have had so much false hope. It was only last week, it was maybe, 4 games behind Sixers, I think it was. Because they've obviously fallen off.
Yeah.
And, we'd seen OB come into the team and look good, giving us false hope that he could be a decent role player for next season. And now we're at a point where it's like, well, it's even going to be here next season because it's completely out of Billy's thoughts again at the minute. Julian Phillips, we had so much hope for him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know if he's going to play again this season.
I know.
Dalen Terry, we get hope for him when he plays, and then he doesn't play for the next 2 games.
Yeah.
So, and then that's without even looking at Billy's main pieces.
Mhm.
Kobe. We had so much hope for Kobe, yet, like I said to you before, or I said before, we've got this top 3 thing. What we're doing on our Discord at the minute, and I mean, if you're not on our Discord, check it out. What we're doing is at the end of every game, we're voting for our top 3 Bulls, and then they get a point. 3 for top, 2 for middle, and 1 for 3. And Kobe's quite far down that. I mean, alright, he missed 3 games or whatever it was with his injury, but even the games he's playing, he's not getting the recognition in the games because DeMar's done it all, or I think DeMar and Caruso are the top 2 at the minute. And to me, that's not necessarily a positive.
Mm.
It could actually be Ayo that's second, but even the last couple of games, Ayo seems to have took a little bit of not a regression as such, but he's just not looking the same as he was.
No, he had a few good runs at the basket last night, but it was patchy. His game was kind of, he'd come and he'd do a couple of good plays and then he'd disappear for the next 5 or 6 minutes before we see something else out of him.
And I think the main thing is they're tired. They're playing 35 to 40 minutes a night. They're out of it, especially someone like DeMar, because we're getting a good game out of DeMar and then we get a chilled game out of DeMar. All right, he's still putting up 20 plus points, but he's knackered. He's really struggling, and I think that's part of the reason why Kobe's shot's struggling, because his legs are tired, and it goes back to this whole thing with Billy. Trust the guys that you've got. Give them a solid 5 minutes. If they make a mistake in the first minute, let them keep going. And then if they make another mistake, then look at sitting them and say, look, you should have been doing this, you should have been doing that. Because all that does is it gives someone like Kobe the chance to rest during a game. And you're just reducing his minutes. So then hopefully his effectiveness kicks up another level, as it was at the start of the season or middle part of the season, whenever it was. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to sort of, after last night's game, with it still being fresh, have any kind of positivity about this team in it.
Yeah, well, the only thing that's keeping me positive is the thoughts of actually watching this shit show live next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was a positive to me. Spending however many thousands to travel all that way to watch us. Well, I think the interesting thing in that game would be who plays more minutes, Bulls or Knicks.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Actually, just popped up here while you were talking. Casey Johnson has reporting that Alex Caruso has been listed as questionable against the Pacers.
That's nothing new, though.
No shock there. They might find another roll of duct tape and strap him up and send him out there.
Oh, yeah. How many games has he actually played now? Obviously, he's got to play that 65, hasn't he, to get to...
He does. I'd say he must be up and
I know
close to
last
that.
week he was a bit far away from it, to be honest.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Hang on, let's see, can I find it in Basketball Reference?
Yeah, I'll let you look then. I'll carry on talking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like I say, 10 games left. We're what now? 4 below 500.
Yeah. He's played 63 games this season.
So he's only got to play another 2 when he can get his all defense again. Yeah, it's like I say, 10 games left. Some winnable games and some very losable games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even bothered if we get to 500 anymore.
Just for the season over.
Yeah, I've just got to that point now. There's just, I'm really struggling now to, like I said at the start, to just find these positives. It's just, yeah. To me, the next positive is when we're no longer watching Bulls, or this version of Bulls, should I say?
See, the way I'm looking at it, to skip ahead, is when AK first came to Chicago, we saw him get very, very creative, and it meant a complete twist on what we had. He's kind of backed himself into a corner now where he's going to have to do something similar again. So he did it once and it worked for a very short period before it got derailed. So I'm hoping, trying to stay positive, I'm hoping that he can maybe pull off some sort of a heist again and shake up what we have. And who knows, maybe we'll be back in a position where we can enjoy this a little bit more than we have been again. But it certainly has to be an off season of action and not inaction again.
Yeah, definitely. We need something. It
didn't happen at the trade deadline, so it has to happen in the off season because we're past the point of running this back. We are past the point of continuity and calling this competitive. We need action. We need change. That's the new C word, change, not competitive or clutch or continuity. Change is the C word going into the off season. There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I think we'll wrap it up there unless you've got anything else.
No, I don't have anything else to say. Go on.
We just obviously didn't know if we were actually going to record because neither of us have had much time to do any sort of prep and real kind of thinking about last night, I don't think. But
no,
we'll finish how we always do with predictions for the next few games. I know we did them on last week's, but we did say they could possibly change. I think we've got 3 games before the next time we possibly record. Obviously, Pacers tomorrow night. I know last week I had it down as a loss. I'm still saying it's a loss.
I think I'd predicted it as a win. Joe, I'll stay with a win, but it's very hard to say it, but I will. I'll stay with a win.
And then Nets on Friday is actually a Friday night game for us as well, 11:30. I think I had that down as a win. Yeah, I'm going to stick with a win. I think we end the 4-game losing streak against them.
Okay, I think I had it down as a win as well, but I'm going to change it to a loss just because.
Because it's Bulls.
Because it's Bulls, and it's a game we should definitely win, so therefore we shall definitely lose it.
Yep. And then I think it works out to be Sunday night, the game for us. It's confusing with it being Easter and a bank holiday. But yeah, Timberwolves after that, I believe it is. I haven't got the fixtures in front of me, so I'm just purely going off memory. I think I had that down as a loss, and yeah, I don't know what Timberwolves are doing at the minute. Obviously, Ant-Man has just been crazy.
Going off, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they are in the standings, if they've dropped or not. I haven't really paid that much attention, but yeah.
They are 49 and 22, and that puts them at 3rd place in the West.
Yeah, so they have dropped a little bit then, haven't they? I think.
They're a game and a half behind the Nuggets, who are at the top seed.
Yeah, we're the top seed when we faced them last, or beat them last. Yeah, I think that'll be a big L, that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's no 2 ways around that. I think that's an L.
Yeah. And then I believe it's Hawks after that.
Yeah, that's on the Monday, I think, for us, isn't it? Is that back to back then?
Yeah, I think it's Sunday, Monday. Yeah, because I'm back at work on
Tuesday. Tuesday morning for us, Monday night. Yeah.
Yeah. So chances are we won't record before that. So yeah, I think I had that down as a win, and I think at that point now it is going to be a must win. But I'm going to change it to an L.
Okay.
So in the next 4 games, I've got us 1-3. 3.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for that as a dub just to call it 2-2 and try and stay some bit positive.
Yeah, so obviously we should be recording maybe next Tuesday, hopefully. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit short on time with you jetting off and getting ready to jet off and leave me, as you always do.
Yeah, but this time I'm planning on staying in contact while I'm over there, right? This one isn't a family holiday. This is like a business trip.
Yeah, you know, you've got your jobs to do while you're out there as well, which
I do.
We'll keep secret for now.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get them off, and yeah, I think next week might be the last one we record before you do jet off as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully we're in a better position mentally with this Bulls team for that one.
Yeah, hopefully. I'd like to be positive on my way over there, not negative.
Yeah, I mean, apologies if this one has been a bit negative. We have tried to be positive and upbeat the last few, but we're Bulls fans.
Yeah, roller coaster ride.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got nothing else. If you have,
no.
Yeah. As always, thanks for listening. I've been Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK, and you can find us on all the socials at CRedUK.
And you'll find me on Twitter at NeillCRedUK. On behalf of both Matt and myself and the Fans First Sports Network, thanks once again to everyone for tuning in. From us both, do remember it's a Chicago Bulls thing wherever in the world you are. Until next time, see red people and go Bulls.